So we got an internal NYPD power struggle. If anyone's been following along, if you're not abreast on what's going on right now, so apparently there's a petition that is going around right now. There's a petition going around right now, and that is where it's coming from, a reverend in New York City. And what they're saying is that there's not enough diversity at the upper ranks at the NYPD, and that the Black and brown NYPD leadership has been pushed out, and that Jessica Tisch is running a racist operation. So, I mean, that's interesting. You have to say to yourself, the Black and brown leadership has been pushed out. I mean, immediately what strikes to myself is, okay, I guess corruption is okay if they look like me. Keep in mind, this is coming from Black reverends, Black church. We've had scandal after scandal, and that's why we've seen Black and brown leadership leave the door of the NYPD. John, what are your immediate thoughts about this NYPD power struggle, this petition? To me, I think it's disgusting that corruption is okay if they look like me.
So there's been a lot of groups. The first one you're talking about, Reverend Kevin McCall, he's put out a statement. He put out whatever you want to do, like an organizing event, basically calling for more Blacks in leadership in the NYPD. Total groupthink, group identity. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. It's like, if you think someone should be promoted, give me a name. Give me a name, So I don't like it. But I also been getting tagged last week or two. Hispanic groups also are pushing the same thing. We need more Hispanics in NYPD leadership. There's not enough Hispanics. And it honestly, what I'm watching is a complete smear campaign against Jessica Tisch, who, by the way, is the police commissioner in name only. So this is total power struggle. This is total operation from behind the walls of One Police Plaza, coming out of Pearl Street and coming out of City Hall. And they're looking to throw Jessica Tisch out, and I think implement Kaz Daughtry into the seat of the police commissioner, have John Schell take over as, I guess, deputy mayor, public safety, or vice versa. Something's happening there, because when I watch those groups going back and forth on social media, and then you see Pat Gordon, also head of the NYPD Guardians Association, he's pushing the same narrative. There is a coordinated smear campaign coming out, and I believe that Kaz Daughtry and John Schell are directly behind it.
Not to toot our own horns here, but we kind of called that they were gonna eventually go to race, and they'd eventually make it a racial thing, and because that's all they have left. That's their they have no way to argue against all the corruption they've been involved in. So now they've got to turn it into a race thing.
This is just political strategy, and it's you can see it's super effective. The machine that goes on, credit machine in New York, is really amazing.
Yeah. Juju says I use AI to write my articles. Juju, I'm just curious. Does AI come from my conservative standpoint? Does it sound like AI, or does it sound like me, bro? Just curious. That'd be really weird if AI is like me. That would be a great AI system. It would be a pretty biased AI system, right? Didn't you say I was a racist and I was discriminatory? It's weird. It's weird that it would write it like that. I thought AI leaned left, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I want to see what's going to happen, Jessica, when the call is made from Henderson to Eric Adams, right? And even worse, considering that Patrick Gordon made those statements that he made a couple weeks ago about there's too many O's in getting promoted. What are you going to do when they start throwing racial allegations, when they start using a race against you? I want to see Tisch stand up for what's right on the job, and for standing up for a just and fair NYPD, and not kowtow to this nonsense. Because again, Chief Henderson has already his name has already come up numerous times. Okay. And it's time that we, like we've said many times on the show, it's time we get back to a just and fair NYPD that respects its cops and has a transparent disciplinary process. And mind you, they don't care about actual, say, Black and Hispanic cops. They don't, because a lot of the victims of all their shenanigans has been Black and Hispanic cops. So, it's not about helping anyone but themselves. It's not about doing anything but regaining access to the executive elevator and the 14th floors of 1PP. And again, I'd like to point out before we get started that this proves again Donald's point that the people in the executive ranks and in the upper echelon of 1PP that are working against him. And it's crazy that things are getting like this, but I think it might actually get worse before it gets better. So,
also it kind of validates the I had put out a rumor about a week and a half ago. I had gotten information from different unnamed credible sources in the NYPD that Jessica Tisch would be stepping down and Kaz Daughtry would be coming in and Kaz Daughtry would come in as PC. Now it appears she may not be stepping down. She may be pushed out. And this is definitely an orchestrated attack on Jessica Tisch. I find this absolutely disgusting that it's come to the point where for people like Patrick Gordon and Reverend McCall, that if they look like you, we can overlook corruption. And that's a problem. We don't have the time. It would just take us days. But if we go through the careers of some of the chiefs that have gotten pushed out, or they had to resign, or had to retire, let's look at the scandals that were behind them. I mean, we could just notably look at some prolific figures at the upper echelon of the NYPD that immediately stick out without even have to go over a roster. Let's look at Jeffrey Madry, chief of department, Black. Let's look at Iglesias, the chief of IAB, Black. Now we have another scandal with Henderson. It's just one after another. And unfortunately, it's not because they're Black. It's because they're connected to Eric Adams. And that's what's going on here. It has nothing to do with race. But at the same token, it's embarrassing. The pattern of behavior from the Eric Adams administration, from the top and from the bottom, almost like sandwiched in, right? What's happening below the police commissioner at the upper echelon of the NYPD, and what's coming from Eric Adams. And we see a complete disregard and undermine for the PCs under Eric Adams. We see it with Key Chan Sewell. She was completely undermined. She was there. She had the access, but she didn't have the authority. We see it with Ed Caban. Same thing, a figurehead, just completely useless and insignificant. We see it with Tom Donlin, which validates and it shows the pattern of behavior, and it solidifies Tom Donlin's his claims in his lawsuit. And then we see it with Jessica Tisch. And we see there is a power struggle because there is no power by the police commissioner. Great comment here. Comes from Special Hagen. The fact that these clergymen are not attacking the corruption is a problem. That's exactly what I'm saying. Right in that statement right there. In my opinion, what they're saying, clergy in this petition, Patrick Gordon, they're saying corruption is okay if they look like me. That's a huge problem. All these folks who were removed or resigned were either corrupt or inept. These clergymen are strong and wrong. This is what you have to ask yourself. And this is what I'm thinking. Could this be an orchestrated attack with Eric Adams? Could Eric Adams be in on this orchestrated attack to get Jessica Tisch out there so that he doesn't have to do it himself, so it doesn't look like he got rid of the first white Jewish female who's part of the 43rd richest family, to get Kaz Daughtry in there or to get some other Adams crony in? That's the question.
I don't think so. I think that it is coming from him, just because the idiots he surrounded himself with don't really care about him. They care about themselves more. They care about their own egos more. Like, Kaz, I think, already thinks he's bigger than Eric Adams. So, he's going to orchestrate anything he can. This is like, it really is a coup d'etat coming. It's the Adams camp split. I think Marlon named it like Battle of the Woke, right? We named the episode, like the thumbnail for the episode, like Revenge of the Woke. And by the way, John Shell's on the wrong side there. He's right under Kaz's balls. So right snugged up, right, like right here, like with his head, like right there. So we just messed it up. We just couldn't get it in there. But it's all part of, it's this DEI monster that all these woke libs like Rebecca Weiner and Jessica Tisch and all these other ones that are sitting up there in power, that they all fed for the last decade, it's coming back to bite them in the ass. He would have a big problem if Tisch is out of there, because the New York media is not going to be friendly to Kaz Daughtry. They love Jessica Tisch. They love her family's money a lot more. And we've seen how good the reporting has changed on the NYPD, right? I mean, I don't even know how many shootings we had last night in the Bronx. Bronx was off the hook last night. Shooting after shooting after shooting after shooting. And yet, if I open up the New York Post today or the Daily News, I'm going to read about history and crime numbers. You know what I mean? And I think it's actually the complete opposite of what's happening, and they're lying about the crime numbers. Everybody knows it. They're lying about making history. Everybody knows it. The media is not reporting it. So I don't think that Eric Adams is directly involved. He is, because he's an incompetent idiot manager, and he empowered people that should not be in these positions. I mean, we were talking about it. I don't know who I was talking about yesterday, but look at all the firsts. Look at all the firsts in his thing. I had the first of this, the first black, the first Latino, the first this, the first that. And honestly, they were people that were undeserving of those positions, and they embarrassed their heritage. The first Latino police commissioner was an embarrassment. Like it's like, you know what I mean? And look at the first CO of aviation unit in the NYPD, black CO, is an embarrassment. You know what I mean? And so, like, it's a joke. He makes himself look like an idiot. He obviously created this whole thing, but do I think he's directly behind it? No, this is going to hurt him a lot more than it's going to help him.
Is Eric Adams part of what's going on? Could he be? So I like to say this: simplicity is complicit. And Eric Adams may not be directly involved in this orchestrated campaign, but he's pretty silent also. He knows what's going on. He's highly aware of it. So he's not saying anything either. So to me, simplicity is complicit. So he's not trying to put a stop to it. And that would be real leadership. Real leadership would say, listen, we need to pump the brakes and stop. This is complete discrimination. Let's go over what's happened. And you would want to stop the imploding that's happening in the NYPD right now, because this is imploding on all levels. So again, that's why I say all the chiefs that are active right now at the upper echelon are compromised, because maybe it works for him. Maybe it works for him at some point to put another idiot in place like Kaz Daughtry, who's going to go out there and just do content creation, and Eric Adams has even more power. Because right now, I'm not saying he doesn't have power, but he may have to kind of balance it out and tip the scales, because Jessica Tisch is intelligent.
You've just watched a clip from our live episode. Click the description to watch the full episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this.